Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook, got Justin Wells, got Coach Williams. We may have some more joining us, but thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, help us out, help us get to 8,000 and let us continue to inform you as we get closer and closer to the regular season. Justin, you know what tomorrow is, right? It's not just Thursday. It's not just May 23rd.
Why you put me on the spot, Joe?
Tomorrow marks 100 days until
the
season starts. So we will be talking about the 100 on the helmet sticker, and we will go through everybody with Will Gallagher like we always do. Thank you for everybody joining us. Coach, how you doing today? It's been a kind of eventful day on Inside Texas. Thanks to y'all too.
Hey man, I'm excited. I feel like I got moved up to the major leagues. I'm on live with you guys, man. I'm feeling good.
It's always fun. You are a big leaguer. Make sure you head to InsideTexas.com. Use the promo code IT1. It'll get you 2 months of InsideTexas.com for just $1. It is May 22nd, like we said. That'll get you a bunch of great info on official visits, visitors, and probably some commitments. And hey, by that point, can't forget about this. They're going to be in summer workouts, and they'll be in summer workouts starting, I think, maybe in about 8 to 10 days. So that's going to be a lot of fun to track. Before we keep on going, got to thank a few of our sponsors. Got to thank Andre the Lawyer. Andre the Lawyer, even though he is covering Charlie's face, he'll cover you as well. A personal injury attorney in Dallas, Texas. He's been helping Texans and has been a part of Inside Texas for a long time. Slip and fall, on-the-job injury, workplace-related accident, wrongful death, auto accidents. Give him a call. No win, no pay, and he will give you a personalized text message number to make sure you can contact the team anytime. Andre the Lawyer at 214-444-8808. Got to thank our buddy Gabe Winslow. MortgagesByGabe.com, the best to do it. Paul Wadlington says it often, and he says it well. Gabe doesn't just have one or two options. He has hundreds.
70.
70?
70. That's
70
the number
options.
Paul always uses.
I overshot it a little bit, but he's got so many options to help you in your mortgage and lending needs. UT lifelong fan, Inside Texas guy, been a part of our community and has helped us out a ton. Call Mortgages by Gabe, 832-557-1095 or mortgagesbygabe.com. Gentlemen, want to start right out the gate with a super chat from our buddy Brett Nelson before we get into some of y'all's predictions?
We do, but we have to acknowledge the members, and the members have spoken. Let's go Mavericks. Let's go Western Conference Finals. And I think that's why Drew
yeah,
that's why Drew Kelson is ducking me. Because last time he's like, oh, game one Mavs. And so I think that's why Kelson's been ducking me lately. But yes, Victor and UT Parking, appreciate you. Now to the real important stuff, Brett Nelson.
This has been a great topic. We talked the other day on recruiting intel on this channel about how there are, I think, 6 top 100 running backs, at least according to On3, within the state of Texas alone. So, Justin, don't beat around the bush. Which 2026 running back are you pairing with Racine Guillory? We'll get to the next one after that. So let's go with the Guillory question. Who are you pairing with 2026 Alito running back and Texas commit Racine Guillory?
Yeah, Brett brought it early. I mean, we're not on this thing 3 or 4 minutes, and Brett's already bringing it. And that's what Brett Nelson does, and I appreciate it. Listen, man, I don't think it's a pair. I don't think you can just take a Javion Osborne with Guillory and be done. Tredarian Ball is incredible. KJ Edwards is legit. Like, these are really good running backs. And so I think there's a lot. I'm glad it's 26, so we don't have to narrow it down right now. But I think a lot of things can happen. I'm not certain it's just a 2 running back class, even though that's what Texas has done traditionally under choice for the last 3 years. Off the bat, I'm going to go Javion Osborne. That's the number 1 on the big board, the number 1 running back on 3, one of the best tailbacks, regardless of class, in the country out of Forney, Texas. My default would be Tredarian Ball. Listen, Ball in Texas looked great before the spring. I mean, they were in a great position for a long time. Ball's been to Austin a half a dozen times already. When he ran that 10-4-8, that put people on notice. And so I think that's why he needs to be in that conversation. KJ Edwards, tremendous year last year. That's another guy you don't want to say no to. So, Brett, sorry that I can't be a little bit more practical, but I just don't see a pair. I see a trio. And there's a long time before these guys sign, but I would go Javian Osborne, and then I'd go Tredarian Ball, and probably KJ Edwards after that.
Coach, putting you on the spot with this one of those 2026 running backs, and you even did a little bit of studying of one that hadn't been on our radar. I don't think Texas has offered him yet, but of those 2026 running backs, probably looking at Tredarian Ball, looking at Javian Osborne, and then looking at KJ Edwards. Who do you pair with Racine Guillory?
Man, I think they all got their own style. One thing that you can say is they all got speed, man. They all can run, but I think you can kind of use them in all different ways. It just really depends. And Sark loves to play, 21 personnel. You got 2 running backs at one time, so you can kind of use these guys together. I wouldn't pair them like Justin said. Probably a trio, man. I mean, we play a lot of guys. A lot of guys get touches, so hey, why not all 3 should come? I don't know. That's what I'm gonna say.
Part of me kind of wonders with that. You mentioned the 21 personnel and the 20 personnel as well, but like look at Keelan Robinson. Like that is a player that you can sell to running backs and say, look, you may not get like a ton of carries, you may not get a ton of receptions compared to running back 1 and running back 2, but you're going to get your opportunities and you're going to get drafted. Keelan Robinson was the primary kick return guy to the point where his hand was broken and Sark still put him out there in the Sugar Bowl or whatever it was. So they're going to roll with you. You're going to get your opportunities, and that can help still get you into the draft. Got to go with the next one. Is there a good comparison for DeCorian Moore? I'm trying to find what his On3 has.
I think it's Calvin Ridley is the one On3 has. And I'm like Eric in this regard. That comp has to just come to you. Whenever you put somebody on the spot for a comparison, I feel like it's a knee-jerk, somebody I've thought about recently. But then you start watching guys like Marcus Harris. We watch Marcus Harris over and over and over, and finally it hit us. That's kind of like Sloan Thomas. He's kind of like a Andre Rison. Like it takes time. But I think On3 has Calvin Ridley for DeCorian Moore. And right now I would probably just agree with that until I have one of those epiphanies.
Coach, do you have one? I'll tell you. I'll go and let you know what On3 says is the good comparison. It's not Calvin Ridley, and I actually kind of like this one that On3 has. So, Coach, who do you have as being?
I know most people may not agree, but I'm going Odell Beckham, honestly. Got the releases, he got the speed, he got the big, strong, powerful legs. He can catch.
The big hands.
Big hands, like it's Odell to me.
That's a great one.
Without, maybe all the extra stuff, but yeah, that's why I say Odell.
Hey, Coach, where's Odell's dad from?
Hey, Temple, Texas.
Temple, Texas.
Baby.
So guess who On3 compared to DeCorian Moore to? Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, there we go. See?
That's why he's coach, and we're Justin and Joe.
I'm guessing this was written either by Cody Belair, Charles Power, maybe somebody else. It says
they do a great job.
DeCorian Moore's ability to threaten every area of the field with his burst, change of direction, coupled with high-end ball skills at his size, reminds us of OBJ. Moore has a more established top-end speed and plays tougher competition at the high school level. Because didn't OBJ also go to Isidore Newman? Or am I thinking of he went to another New Orleans area school, right?
Damn it. Now I'm on the spot again. I think I've seen Beckham's jersey when I went to go see Arch.
I was right again. It was Isidore Newman.
Now I remember seeing his jersey on that. They have a thing when you walk into the facility, and Beckham's is one of the first ones up on the wall right there with the Mannings. Good call, Joe. I was there 8 times in 2 years and couldn't remember that. I was thinking San Antonio for some reason.
No, that's Shaq. But you're just thinking of all these different guys who had LSU associated with them. Got another good question from our buddy UT Parking talking about Keati Armstrong from Jasper. Is Keati Armstrong's best position tight end? What if he keeps growing? Justin, I'm going to toss that one to you because you've been able to speak with him on that front. Curious what you think.
Yeah, the first time I saw Keati last year, the first thing I told the coach, his head coach at Jasper was, he would be an incredible offensive tackle, like elite, like first day draft kind of guy. He goes, oh yeah, no question, but you're not going to get him. That kid refuses to play on the offensive line. If you want to lose a recruitment, call Keoti and tell him he's a tackle, because he is convinced he's a tight end, and he's the type of kid, look, if that's what he wants to do, that's what he wants to do. He might keep growing. That's the problem. And he is already ginormous to begin with. And so I think that's why Texas has him as a priority, guys, because and I'll have something at Inside Texas tomorrow about the tight end. So please come and check us out and hang out with us. But yeah, Keoti, first time I saw him, I was like, that's an offensive tackle. Easily. His feet and hands, the way he's growing into his body, that's the guy you see walking across stage, bear hugging, Roger Goodell. But don't tell Keoti that, because even though he's a fantastic kid and actually a pretty good baseball player, he refuses to be versatile on the football field. He is not playing on the O-line. That's a tight end. That's an inline guy that'll block. He'll catch a little bit of fade in the red zone. Tight end's probably where you're going to have to get Keoti if you want him at your school.
Coach, this is a comparison I'm thinking of, and a lot of the things, Justin, that you just said apply exactly to Jared Wiley. Do you see that a little bit? You remember when Jared Wiley was at Temple, he was the quarterback. He played baseball up until his senior year, I think. And everybody knew he had a big frame, but there were some people who were like, well, he could be destined for the offensive line. Similar vantage point. Charlie, is that a fair comparison? And Jared Wiley's there in the NFL. He just got drafted. So
yeah, maybe
he's going to supplant Travis Kelce.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Kind of knowing Jared, I didn't see that as much. Kind of just watching him grow from middle school on up. But to me, I see Jason Peters. You got Lane Johnson,
Queen City.
You know what I'm saying?
Harrison, Texas.
That's what I see. That's what I see.
I watched Jason Peters in high school. I coached at White Oak when we played Queen City in the second or third round of the basketball playoffs. Jason Peters had the softest touch off the glass. When he got the ball in the block, that's just two going on the other end of the floor. Jason Peters was a monster. Great comp, Coach.
Yeah, that's what I would go with.
Love that one. Thank you to our buddy UT Parking. Brett Nelson, going to give that a follow-up to one of your questions. No way they take 3 running backs. And Justin, one of the things we've talked about with this is that they keep taking 2. They keep taking 2.
Yeah.
They keep taking 2. And I'm going to steal your phrase, cream rises to the top. There's only one ball and guys will filter out. It's just how it works. Haven't seen it at Texas yet, but numbers are going to have an impact on this. And when the talent is available the way it is, that may make them want to take 3 in 2026, just like they're looking for 3 tight ends in the 2025 class.
That's kind of the way it shakes out. Like that's why I'm glad it's the next cycle, because trying to figure that out now gives me a headache. And I can't imagine how it makes Coach Choice and Coach Sark feel. But that's a great situation to be in. You're going to have to tell somebody really good no. And when you're at that point in your program, you're cooking with grease. And so that's the thing. And I keep saying also, it's 26. Guillory hasn't signed yet. We don't know if he's going to be a part of this class. A lot of things can happen. At Alito, they force feed the football to those guys. You never know what's going to happen to the tread on an Alito running back. And so sometimes you have to always factor in stuff. I just know they love Javian Osborne. They love Ball, and they love Edwards. I think Osborne would be at the top. I think Osborne would be the other running back if Guillory does sign in this cycle. But I don't think you can tell Tredarian Ball no. I think telling KJ Edwards no would be painful. And that's why Choice is the man.
One of the things that I'm trying to think of with that is, I just lost my train of thought. It happens. Coach, I think I remember where I was going with this. Racine Guillory is still taking visits, and he's taking visits to Texas. You kind of understand that, but we saw a picture of him not too long ago there in Athens with, right there in arm with Kirby Smart. So I guess at this point, if you have a commit that's still taking visits elsewhere and modern recruiting, you kind of just have to let them do that. You can recruit all these different guys because you can show like, hey, don't worry, he's visiting. You're who I'm talking to today. You're able to show and show an interest in different recruits, especially you don't want them to be taking visits elsewhere, your commits, but it still kind of helps you in the long run keep tabs on everybody.
Yeah, you know what? and I'll say this about Coach Church, Coach Flood. I know they told a ton of guys, if you like us, if you're committed to us, like go and see what those other guys have to offer, right? I think it helps you as a coach because you get to know what feedback is coming back to you, right? You get to know this kid, you get to know all about this kid. You're going to continue to recruit him. You continue to recruit him to signing day until they put pen to paper anyway. So let them go take their visits. You don't want to put a stranglehold on them saying you can't go visit anywhere. I think that's the quickest way to lose a kid, especially in today's world. In today's time, these kids are a lot different from 90s and early 2000s. So yeah, let them take their visits. Just continue to encourage them. Like, hey, I know Justin's the same way. Go visit. Like, go enjoy your visit. Go enjoy it because you know where home is. So it's okay. Go visit and come back here. That's all it is to it.
When these kids get offered by Oregon and they'll text me or send me a message, my first message is, you better go visit that place.
Got to.
It's like it's like Magic Kingdom. No, it's like a spaceship. Oregon is incredible. Take those visits. Have fun in the process because once you get to college, it gets real quick.
I'm glad you mentioned Tashard Choice because one of the things I remember specifically in that, it would have been the 2024 class, was Jarrett Gibson took visits. CJ Baxter took visits. And I think that had a lot of consternation on like the message boards and stuff like that. But Tashard Choice was never really that concerned. We were never really that concerned over at Inside Texas. We never had much fear, even when, there was, you'd see a picture of CJ Baxter at Florida State or Jarrett Gibson at Florida. Tashard Choice didn't have much concern. They still got both those guys to put pen to paper. I like this question. Thank you to Brett Nelson again. Chris Bennett, we're going to go with a very popular question these days when it comes to wide receiver recruiting. Texas gets all three wide receivers, which I think in this case is Khalil Lockett, Jamie French, and DeCorian Moore. Where does it rank in Texas history and recruiting history? There's only one real contender, it seems like, and it's the Sloan, BJ, and Roy class. I know there was just one service at that point. I think it was Rivals, and two were 5 stars in BJ and Roy. Yeah. Justin, you like to tell me that BJ was a higher ranked one. Sloan still turned into a great receiver. Rankings wise, I think this would be the top one just because it's 3 guys ranked within the top 20 of the recruiting rankings and the modern recruiting rankings where wide receiver play is more advanced than it's ever been.
The more we've talked about this, the more I have discovered more similarities in these classes with 2000. You know who they were chasing? That 2000 when they were recruiting these big receivers? Chris Sims. They had him. They had the son of the former NFL quarterback, and that was one of their selling points. We need a guy that can catch the ball from this lefty from Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. We got to have that guy. It's a similar pitch today. Listen, Arch Manning's going to throw the pill over the next 2 years when Quinn Ewers leaves. There needs to be some guys out there to catch it. And you're talking about son of an NFL quarterback. There's so many little bitty details that are very similar. BJ Johnson was a higher rated guy because he was also a track stud and he had more production. Roy Williams, I don't know if he ran 10 routes at Permian. Like how they forecasted him as a 5-star receiver without seeing any tape was crazy because they rarely threw the ball to that guy. But he was just fanatical when you saw his size. He was a freak. Everybody knew that. And Sloan was just the aggravation of both. DK Moore, Jamie French, Khalil Lockett. I mean, I don't think they get all 3. But they're in a great spot with each one, especially Moore and French. And so it's comparable. From a star standpoint, this would be a higher rated group. Moore, Lockett, French would be that. It kind of sounds like a Norwegian law firm. But that's kind of where they would be. But it's fun to look back and compare to, who was what and when and where, because all 3 of those guys, Roy, BJ, and Sloan, all played in the league. And I have a pretty good – there's pretty good inclination that DK Moore and Lockett and French will all probably go to the league too. So this would be a little bit better, Chris Bennett. This would be a little bit better. Chris, I love the question. I also saw your comment. I know you're a Spurs fan, so I got nothing but love for you. But, yeah, thank you for acknowledging the Mavs.
This is a good one from UT Parking. Moore, French, Lockett, and Kelshawn would be an insane haul. And, Coach, we had Steve Wiltfong, and we'll get to what you and Wiltfong did earlier today in a little bit. But Kelshawn Johnson would be a guy that brings that speed that some of the other ones do. Maybe a little bit slider, but if you add those 4, that's a lot of speed in one class. And I think the presence of just his ability to run a 10-6 by getting out of bed probably helps push that over the top of that 3-man class. Justin, was there a fourth in that class, or was it just those three?
It was just those three. And remember, we've mentioned if Kelshawn's in this class, it's a 4-man. I'm just laying it out there.
But Coach, I mean, that'd be an insane haul when you think of all the speed in that one.
It would, and I would go back to the 2000 class. You think about it, Tony Jeffers is in that class as an athlete, but he ended up playing receiver. He ended up redshirting his freshman year with that BJ.
Klein Forrest.
Yeah,
I watched him play at the state basketball tournament.
Yeah, so he was in that class, but just as an athlete, he ended up playing receiver. But I don't know, maybe get to 4 receiver class with this group here. But man, speed kills, man. Like Sark covers it. You saw what happened. You know what to come by. Just having speed on the field opens up this offensive playbook so much more. And so bringing a guy like Kelshawn Johnson in who can run, I'd like to mention his teammate Damien, who committed to UNLV, could also run. Like, so I saw that guy on film. I was like, yo, this kid can like really, really move. So why not, man? If there's a spot for 4, I think you bring him in, man. Can't substitute speed. So
Kelshawn also has versatility. He was the point guard on that state runner-up team at Hitchcock in basketball this last year. Like he's got incredible feet, incredible hands, very versatile. Listen, if you could get Kelshawn Johnson in a class with those other 3, throw the parade for Chris Jackson, because there's not a better haul in the nation. That's stuff that Ohio State pulls off. That's some LSU depth looking receiver room stuff. So, hey, but the best part is that Texas has built relationships with all 4 of those guys, and I think they're in a great spot with each one of them.
Please keep stacking your questions. We got over 1,600 in here. Real quick, want to thank our buddy Gabe Winslow, mortgagesbygabe.com. Give him a call at 832-557-1095 for all your lending needs. And, of course, our buddy Andre the lawyer, 214-444-8808. He's been helping injured Longhorns throughout the state of Texas for a long time, and he will help you with a personalized text message number. Guys, y'all, all 3 of you put in recruiting prediction machine picks today. Coach, I want to go to you first because you put in predictions for the Coleman brothers, 2/3 of the triple threat at least. Jordan and Devin, offensive linemen at Cedar Hill. You put in predictions for them to eventually end up as Longhorns. You and Steve Wiltfong. So what helped you put in that decision today?
Yeah, just getting to know those guys, talking to them, interviewing them, just getting to know who they are as players and, off the field. Me personally, I just thought it'd be like they're a great fit. And Austin playing under Coach Kyle Flood. They always talk about family, development, and being around a program who wants to win and have been around a good culture. No better place than Austin, Texas, if you ask me. Every time you talk to them, that's the same things they mention. They love it. Every time they visit Texas, they have a great time. They love the fact that Coach Flood is teaching them things them before, and they're not even there, right? They can respect that, and they love that because they're all about football. And we know Austin is a great place for food. First time I went to Cedar Hill, they were recommending food places that I should try. I was like, yo, y'all fit in Austin, man, because y'all have a good time eating out. But, I mean, but education's important to them, important to their family. And they always talk about the business school at UT and how that's really top on their list. They really love that. So I felt confident in go ahead and put an RPM for both of those guys.
Good stuff, Coach.
2 big humans, obviously. Guys who I think if people looked them up in the rankings, they may be a little underwhelmed. Jordan is just within the top 1,000. Devin is not ranked or ranked lower, I guess to say, not within the top 1,000. But as we've seen, Coach Flood has his type, knows what he's looking for, and Charlie really likes pairing guys he believes in with the obvious guys, like if they're able to get him Michael Fasusi, or looking back, Kelvin Banks, even Cam Williams. Brandon he likes Baker. Guys that he can the clay that he can mold as what just because they are big humans, and pairing those with some of the big guys, and the Colemans fit that to a T, it seems like.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really pay attention to the rank as much. I just kind of turn on their film, right? And their film speaks for itself. I think that's what Coach Flood sees. These guys can move for big guys. They're very agile. They're flexible. I know we posted a video on Inside Texas, or we tweeted out how flexible Jordan actually is, able to squat down and, and walk like in a duck walk, right? And it's like, man, this big kid he's very flexible for a big guy. So I don't really pay attention to the ratings so much. I think those will change as they go, especially if they commit to Texas, or I can kind of look at the offer list, kind of look at their official visit list, what schools are interested in them. You can kind of tell that they can actually play. So just turn on the tape and look at those guys move and finish people and take them to the sideline, punch them to the ground, and just how fluid they are. And I would like to say they work with Coach Zach over at South Oak Cliff, who also trained Cam Williams, DJ Campbell. He has a list of guys he's trained that they're going to get better and better. So I'm not really worried about the ranking. I'll let the tape speak for itself, and I think that's what Coach Flood is doing as well.
Justin, going to kick it over to you. You put in a prediction for Jamie French today. He's visited Texas a few times, always seems very enamored with Texas, and it sounds like Texas is in a very good spot entering official visit season.
That's exactly what it is. They are trending. They are the team trending right now for Jamie French, and they've been in a good position. This has kind of come along probably earlier this year, but once Jamie and his family got to Austin, April 6th, that changed that recruitment on a dime. DeCorian Moore was there. Kalik Lockett was there. They watched a live scrimmage of Ryan Wingo playing as a early enrollee freshman, dominating DBs in Austin. It got everyone's attention. And I think Coach might have been out there with me. I can't remember. But Jamie French may have been the most delightful kid we spoke with. Like, just that's a guy you want in your locker room before you turn on the tape. Once you turn on the tape, there's some raw tools there that you can really, really cultivate a quality 5-star receiver there. But Texas is the leader there. I feel like Chris Jackson has that one guy out of state every cycle. I think that's going to be kind of his niche. You don't have to go far for receivers in Texas. There are a dozen, and the 10th rated could be as good as the 1st rated in some classes. Like Coach knows Kyle Parker. That's a guy that probably could be rated a lot higher before he went to LSU. But since there's so many in Texas, I think sometimes they get a little blurry. Right. But I think every cycle, Coach Jackson's going to go out of state for that one dude, for that one guy. And I've said this before, this has a Ryan Wingo vibe to it. This recruitment, the parents, the connection, all the little things, data points that sort of add up. And so if someone asked me about my percentage, I'm probably going to revisit that percentage after his official visit, because I think that's going to be the biggest tell. He's not going into his senior season uncommitted. That kid is going to have a decision in July, August at the latest. And I think him and DeCorian are starting to open up to the fact that if Jamie's on one side and DeCorian's on the other, that's a tough sell for a defensive coordinator. That's a tough day for the DBs on the other side of the field. And so Texas and Jamie French right now make the most sense. It's Texas against the field, and it's really probably Texas over Miami. I think Miami, I caught up with the On3 Miami guy, Steven Wagner, earlier, guy that Joe knows really well, and Miami's the other team in that, and you got to watch him. He's a Florida kid. You always got to be aware of those Florida schools when it comes to that. That's what they grew up watching, grew up around. But right now, Ohio State's not going to happen. LSU probably not. Tennessee, I don't think is going to happen either. It's going to come down to Texas and Miami, and I think Texas has it by miles. That April 6th visit was just an absolute home run, guys.
Always good to hear. It kind of answers what Justin Wales' question was about how solid would a commitment be from him. I think it's something to consider, but like you said, commitments are always tough to undo, especially this late or at a certain point in the game. So I wouldn't be that too concerned about that, especially if he goes from official visits to August to make his decision.
You just have to keep paying attention. You just have to pay attention to it. That's all it really boils down to.
Plus, didn't Colin Simmons say he was going to visit LSU and then nothing really came
for the Grambling game? Yeah. Turned out he didn't want to go.
Look whose team he's on right now. Got a good one. I like that. Head to Inside Texas, obviously, just a little bit of scratching the surface of all of our predictions today. You can get 1 month for just $1. Going to keep on going through a few questions, and I do like this one from Victor Santiago. Justin, this will be somebody that you see next week. Is Texas going to offer Keelan Russell, or are we just wasting the kid's time? If the staff does offer him, do you think Lacey jumps ship? Y'all are going to see Keelan Russell next week in Nashville at the On3 Elite Series. I don't think they're wasting his time. but they have just been, very selective. And it's not a bad thing for Lacey either. He's got some of the best programs in the country coming after him. He's still got a great place that he's committed to in SMU. What do you take on Victor's question?
That's a good one, Victor. He's a really good contributor. I love his questions when he comes on the YouTube show for us. We appreciate you, Victor. I talked to a source today about KJ Lacey, and he basically said, right now Lacey and Texas they're not going anywhere. They're hitched. They're sticking together for the duration. That's the now is they're in for the long haul. And if you were KJ Lacey, why would you think otherwise? Look what Quinn Ewers is doing. You got Arch Manning, you got Trey Owens. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. But Keelan Russell, you said it, Joe. They're not wasting his time. Keelan Russell wants the Texas offer. Keelan Russell would jump on a Texas offer. And so Texas does what they're supposed to, due diligence. And if there's a position at the University of Texas under Steve Sarkisian that's going to get the most attention, it's quarterback. So, of course, they're going to pay attention. Listen, when it's all said and done, Keelan Russell's probably going to be a higher-rated quarterback than KJ Lacey. But Sark likes Lacey. And even though Lacey has taken some visits, I even heard one name, a big-time five-star quarterback could be looking at Auburn here pretty quick, committed to a major school. So Auburn might actually be in the mix for someone else, which would kind of probably supplant what they might want to do if they brought in, tried to flip KJ Lacey. It's the dominoes, man. And that's what's so much fun about recruiting is you just got to keep stacking. You got to keep building numbers. But yeah, I don't think Lacey jumped ship. Now, if they offer Keelan, it would probably be after KJ jumped. Or it could be, in the middle of the season. Keelan could just turn it on again at Duncanville this year. And he's got that connection with DeCorian Moore. So many things can happen. Just know with Texas and the staff, they're keeping all their fires warm. They're keeping everybody. They're making sure they don't, they're doing due diligence, like I said. And at the quarterback position, you have to do that. Sark, that's the thing. If you're a Texas fan, always understand Sark is going to be very judicious when it comes with quarterback takes, with offers, with recruiting, and with resources. And if he's putting this much time into Keelan Russell, fans still need to pay attention. I still feel like Lacey's going to be the guy when signing day happens.
Charlie, I'm going to throw this one to you. It may hurt Justin that I'm doing it, but another great one from Brett Nelson. Who's the 2026 edge from Duncanville? Is it Ford? Is he a potential
you were supposed to let him guess it.
I mean, his name's in there.
I actually saw this kid at Pastoral School. He participated here in DFW, and I was like, at the time, I didn't know who he was. He said, I'm the next five-star defensive end at Duncanville. That's how he introduced himself to me. I was like,
yes.
Oh, okay. And I paid attention to him. I was like, oh, this kid can really bring it off the edge. And I loved him. And so, yeah, he has a chance to really, really be that. I think he is. I mean, he's very explosive off the edge. He's training one of the best guys here in the DFW area, Brandon Tucker, who also trained Byron Murphy, Tavondre Sweat, Alex January, a host of guys. So he's in the right hands, and I think he has a chance to be that.
KJ Ford has been stacking offers the last 3 months if you've been paying attention. Like his offer list is going to be 30 or 40 deep by the time he's done. And remember, I bumped into KJ at the camp in Houston where it was the O-line, D-line, where I met Brandon Brown, and he went against Michael Fasusi in some drills. And when he came off, I said, KJ, you look a little bit bigger. He said, yeah, I'm 240 now. And I thought, oh, boy, Duncanville's got another. He's a good one. He likes Texas a lot, but this recruitment is just now touching the surface.
I think, Justin, you've been talking about Kevin Ford for a while. I think it was – I'm trying to scroll.
A year ago. Remember Coach Samuels told me about him last year. Kind of like with Alex January when we met him when he was 15. The Duncanville staff are so great. And I was told, hey, pay attention to this guy. I've been kind of building a relationship with him ever since.
One of the best one of the really great players there at Duncanville. Should be fun to have to go back there pretty often. Got a good question from Twitter from Robe. Like this one a lot. If these wide receivers commit to Texas, which defensive backs could this impact the best want to play with the best? Charlie, I think one thing that maybe fans forget about every now and then, and I know this is a strange thing to say, is that these players practice a lot. They're on the practice field a lot more often than they are on the game field. And programs in the past, like Alabama, and now programs like Texas, a lot of the pitch that they give is, hey, you're going to play great competition on Saturdays. You're going to be prepared for playing that great competition based off what you do Monday through Friday. And so I feel like that's a strength. You can tell somebody, hey, you're going to have to defend against passes thrown by Arch Manning and Trey Owens. You're going to have to, try to pass block against Colin Simmons. In the case of wide receivers and defensive backs, the same thing applies.
Yeah, definitely. That's all a part of development. You want to go somewhere that, the practice is a lot harder than the games. I don't know. And everybody saw the 30 for 30 with the U Miami, and they talked about practices were harder than the games. They went out there and dominated the games because they were so easy because they went against the best in practice every day. And that same trend continues. I think guys want to go against the best in practice because it's going to make them better. You look at it, from 2000 teams to the national championship teams, like they went against top guys every single day, which made them better. And I think kids are paying attention to that because they want to be developed. They want to be the best. And why not go practice against the best every single day?
Justin, kind of throwing this to you. I mean, some of the top defensive back targets in our Eric Naline just wrote about defense today. Does this have an effect, or is it something where, Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon have to do their job and maybe not worry about what Chris Jackson's doing so much?
Yeah, I think coach is right in a sense. Players pay attention to that kind of stuff. And they also, but I'll tell you what sells DBs for Texas right now. Starting Manny Muhammad as a freshman. That's what sells DBs. You want to get on the field. If you're good enough, you're going to play early at Texas. Sark has been great about that. And I think that's the chapter he took from Pete Carroll's coaching book. It's make it competition at every single position. And the best ones are always going to rise up. And so I don't know how much, a DB wants to, he's going to judge if a DeCorian Moore or Jamie French jumps in. But you got like a Hightower safety, nickel corner, versatility kid in Cade Phillips. He knows he's got a chance to get on the field early because he sees Derek Williams starting as a freshman. He sees a former walk-on starting in the secondary in Michael Taft. He sees Manny Muhammad playing as a freshman. To me, that's the biggest selling point. If you're good enough and you get to school early and you come focused and prepared, Sark will put you out there. So I think the onus is more on Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon.
I like that one. Got another good question from our friend Stereo and Video Center at Tyler. Is the possibility of getting 3 5-star wide receivers in one class mainly attributed to catching balls from Arch for 2 years? Coach, we talked about this. That's what Chris Sims did back in the day, and that's what Texas is trying to pitch to those 3 that we've talked about a lot right now.
Yeah, look, and I even tell kids this. It's a business at the end of the day. Like, if you're going to go catch passes from someone, go play with the best, right? And that's Arch. Because, projected, right, he's going to probably be drafted. Scout's going to be hanging around a whole lot. But who's he going to be throwing the ball to? You. So go be that guy that he's getting a lot of reps with so that he trusts you. And then he's throwing you the ball on Saturday. So now you improve your chances of getting drafted. So if I'm a kid or a receiver, 5-star right now, I want to play with Arch, man. And so that's something you have to think about because you don't want to be, some place where you're waving wide open, the quarterback can't get you the ball. I'm not talking about any particular program, just saying receivers want the ball. You want somebody who can get you the ball. So, yeah, I think a big part in that.
Also, getting 3 receivers drafted, 2 in the first, 45 picks. That's a big sell. But thank you. Hey, that's Dennis. That's a buddy over here in East Texas. He's got a nephew named Vaughn Lane. He's a 2027 quarterback at Legacy, 6'4", 220. He's a southpaw. Might be a quarterback at the next level. Is definitely a D1 level athlete. So pay attention to that and go see Dennis at Stereo and Video and Tyler. He does a great job. We're talking about possibly a happy hour. We're talking about possibly a meetup because they've got stuff there at Stereo and Video that we might bring one of these happy hours to East Texas. And if we do, we'll definitely give Dennis and those guys a call. That's a great question, but Coach nailed it. Arch is definitely part of it. I honestly think it's all of it. I think it's Arch. I think it's kids getting drafted. It's the offense. It's the vertical, pack the way they do it, right? The pattern of the way they do that, and so it's just all of the above. Texas is cooking with grease right now, fellas.
All right, I think we got a couple more questions to get to before we let Justin go watch the Mavs games.
I need a score update. Somebody needs to throw an update in that thing.
But make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Again, head to InsideTexas.com. You can get 2 months of plus access using the promo code IT1. Going to go with this one from Wayne Watson. Anytime we spend this much time tiptoeing through the NIL minefield, the more we realize that college football is on a path that will not end well. think forward a couple of years, not good. Wayne, I get why you may be apprehensive. And I mean, as we were recording this, some news broke about the NCAA accepting, I think, that agreement, that settlement with the House case. Every time I think about this topic, all I see is British soccer. And basically, the top of the sport, the teams that could pay money and could get money, kind of sort of broke off in the early 2000s and have done their own thing since. It created some, stratification, and there's some, positives and negatives with that. At the same time, the game's still the game. The quality of play has not been better, like Sark has said very often. It's going to be a lot different. They're not just going to play for pride of dear old State U, but a lot are. It's going to be a different sport culturally, but the game is going to be great. We're talking about great players. We're talking about great coaches. And I think if you focus on that, head to Inside Texas, you're going to want to know about the recruiting and the intrigue. But the Saturdays are what makes this special, and that's still not going away. Coach, going to throw this one to you from Shook Ones, which that's a great picture. How are the Horns looking with Riley Pettijohn? Also still find myself watching Matai Tagovailoa tape. Is Texas still in contact? So let's start with Pettijohn. See what you think about Tagovailoa, who I think we all like watching his film.
Yeah, definitely. I still think Texas' chances of getting Pettijohn are pretty good. This guy, he's just doing his due diligence, right? Taking his visits. He's talking to everybody still, just making sure he finds the right place for him. But I do feel like, me personally, he may end up in Austin, but it makes sense. But at the same time, kind of enjoying his visits, let him take his officials, and that's just kind of see where he lands at the end of all the things. But I know he stays in contact with Coach Nansen. He loves the program. Parents love Coach Sark and the culture around Texas. So I don't know. We'll see when he makes his decision after his official visits.
Justin, going to pitch it to you on Tagovailoa. USC commit, I think, has been very polite with all his interactions, but is Texas going to get a visit from him?
That's the big question. I'm trying to remember if we've got him on the list for an OV yet. Off the top of my head, I think he's still scheduled for one, but that may have been pre USC commit. Texas has always kind of been in on him. They went by the school, I feel like, a couple times since January, just to kind of bump into him. And when they hired Johnny Nansen, my first thought was, well, they're going to get somebody from the West Coast. They're going to get a dynamic linebacker from California or Nevada or any of those spots, and they still might. But I love what Coach said. Pettijohn to me is the guy. That's the other guy. You get him in Barnes, everything else is gravy. And I think Pettijohn is really lucky to have a dad like Duke Pettijohn, who played the game, who went through recruiting, who understands kind of the landscape of college football and what opportunities his son has. And so I love Pettijohn in Texas. I think that makes a lot of sense. But with Tagovailoa, that's kind of a wait and see. Texas does pretty well when it comes to those guys. And so get him on campus and just shoot your shot like Jeff Banks. Just see what you can get there, because I still feel like when this class is all said and done, Johnny Nansen's going to get him a stud off the West Coast.
Yeah.
Justin Wales has a question. Justin, who are the Rockets going to draft with the number 3 pick?
Justin,